Hi everybody, I'm coming at you with another talking head video. The last one went over surprisingly well, and that really means the world to me because one of the things I want to do with arcade games is get beyond video game development tutorials and sort of show the process for how one struggles as a solo game developer who has to work a full-time job and doesn't have all the knowledge and resources in the world to make this happen. I want to show it all, like warts and all. So in the last video I did like this, I just simply explained in very high level terms what my experience moving from Unity to Godot was like. But there are so many years of experience I have before that. And if I'm going to show you the ugly side of what it takes to get arcade games up off the ground, well, you kind of got to know where I'm starting. So same as before, no big lesson, no big insight. I'm just sharing my story. And if it happens to resonate with you or put your own into perspective, I'm obviously hoping it makes a lot of people feel better about their own situations. Then heck yeah, I'm happy to put more positivity out into the world. Yeah, let's talk about me. So I have spent far too much time in nerd circles to fall into the trap of trying to compare my level of nerddom for video games to anyone else's. But let's just say that my earliest clear memory on this earth involves a video game, and I have been obsessed with them ever since I can remember. That obsession went well beyond just playing them, too. My dad got me my first video game magazine subscription, a subscription to Nintendo Power, when I was 7 years old. Very shortly thereafter, I was also subscribed to GamePro and EGM, and through osmosis, I picked up so much about the industry and how the games are made, and all of that appealed to me just as much as playing the games and the console war bickering back and forth on the playgrounds. Now, to put things into perspective for some of you, I'm 40. So this was way back in the day. My family didn't have a computer. Computers in the home weren't super duper common when I was growing up. So I really didn't have a way to express my desire to make games beyond scribbling down, character designs in notebooks and such, which I did have several of. I also made board games and card games. Between the ages of 13 and 15, I actually developed the very first hero shooter, the free-to-play business model, the Nintendo Switch, and also the website Twitch. But technology was nowhere near the point to make any of those reality, and I was not in the professional position to push any of those ideas forward. But then in 1998, my family got a computer, and in 1999, the Game of the Year edition for Half-Life was released. And with that Game of the Year edition was the Worldcraft level editor, later renamed Hammer. And that thing blew my mind, and it blew open my whole obsession with developing video games. It was the first real game development I had ever had the opportunity to try. Making Half-Life maps was just something I did every single time I was at the computer. I was trying to build something. I learned about entities, I learned about prefabs, I learned about how all of these things communicate. As I made my way into college, I was exposed to Counter-Strike, and the Half-Life maps became CS 1.5 and 1.6 maps. And no, you've never played on anything I developed. Then Half-Life 2 and the Source Engine. When I was going to college, there weren't a whole lot of video game development programs. In fact, there were like none. You had to go to DigiPen or you didn't go. And I was too much of a coward to even apply to DigiPen. I didn't want to move across the country all by myself to go to school. So I wound up going to the University of Minnesota with a high school friend of mine, and they allowed me to craft my own major, which was sort of this weird mix between media studies and computer science. And I had to take 3 levels of calculus to complete it. I can do math, I'm a smart guy, but I was 18. I didn't really want to. I wanted to focus on things that I thought were fun, and even though I wasn't doing technically a game development degree, I knew I wasn't going to need 3 levels of calculus to develop the types of video games I wanted to make. So I switched majors. I decided to go with my second love, which is theater, and really focus on that. That was my life for several years after. I kind of put the game development stuff on the back burner. Then one fateful night in 2012, I was 28 years old in Manhattan. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was polishing silverware at the restaurant I worked at with a couple of coworkers, and they were talking about how they desperately wanted to leave, get home back to Brooklyn so they could get a couple hours of sleep, so that they could then come back to do a cattle call audition with a director who they really didn't want to work with. But that director was friends with a different director who they really did want to work with, and my brain exploded. I realized I had zero control over what my future was going to be. I was older. I was more disciplined. I was ready to take those math classes that might be arbitrary. And so I decided I was going to go back to school and I was going to focus on game development. So I did some Googling, and one program in particular kept popping up in my searches. And it was very interesting to me because it was back in my home state, in a city that my sister was currently living in. So I could go back home, have somewhat of a support network while I worked on this game development thing. After doing my research and deciding to make it a go, I moved back home and I started my career as a video game developer. So the program I went to was a 2-year long program. And the way it was set up is that you would take either design, programming, or art classes by yourself with other folks in your discipline. And then you would get together for these combined classes, which were essentially your big project classes. In those project classes, you would act as different teams. So every semester would have 2 teams. In the first semester, the way it would work is these 2 teams were essentially competing against each other. They were each making their own separate games, but then they had to conceptualize and pitch a game to a group of investors. Those investors would choose a winner, and then the winning team would absorb the other team for the next semester, and you would carry on with their idea. Shockingly, I was not the oldest person on my team, just the second oldest, but we skewed older in general, which was to our benefit. My team saw a lot of success in that program, and as we moved forward on through Capstone, we just kept feeling the momentum building in our favor. During our time there, we had wildly successful first and second semester projects. We had investors genuinely interested in what we pitched them that first semester. We had phone calls after the fact, but due to our inexperience, nothing ever really got off the ground. And really the only place where we dropped the ball was our capstone. But what we did have going into our second semester was some pretty good stuff. And I still have that game idea in the back of my head for later on when I have more resources. And since we had seen so much success, we decided to make a go of it once we graduated. Those of us who were friends and pretty cohesive in the team moved forward, trying to make our little team of student developers something that could actually produce product. We started with about 20 people, and it is remarkable how fast people started falling off. We were an upstart student team. No money was coming in. Everyone was going to be working on sweat equity. When folks don't have a reason to do extra work, like grades, a lot of them just ain't going to be doing any extra work. Things got extra complicated because we wanted folks to feel like they had ownership over whatever we were building. We thought that would help with it just being sweat equity. But what instead happened is we would have certain things that would rely on certain people, and then they would leave. And then this project that we had spent a couple of weeks or a couple of months developing was suddenly thrown into question. Then people would start to be like, well, I didn't really want to make that game anyway. So then you get back into the brainstorming phase, and then you develop a new product and you start that. Rinse and repeat several times over. After those tumultuous first few months, there was a core group of 6 of us who were still bound and determined to develop a title, get it released, and take the first real positive step on our journey into making video games. Myself and 2 other senior members of the team were trying desperately to find some contracting opportunities so that we could do some work on the side to bring some money in to keep the rest of the team happy and fulfilled. While doing that, we did a pro bono project where we developed a touchscreen game for a nearby children's museum, and we did do some talks to engage in some contracts, but needless to say, it all fell through. So a traditional path wasn't working. And I'm the type of guy that when something that's not working, I like to pivot. I like to hit it from a different angle. And so I thought, okay, if the traditional path isn't working, maybe we can do something with developing this community of gamers that are around us. And that networking might yield things we've never even considered. So I reached out to an old teammate of ours, one who didn't make the initial jump with us immediately after graduation, to see where he was at. He helped me set up a local game developer night at this nerd bar and grill nearby. Once every month, everyone could come together to develop their games, show off their games, get feedback. And for a time, that was pretty great. Our core group of developers had settled on a product that we were developing. We were having fun developing it. We were getting positive feedback. We had this networking thing going on. People seemed to be loving it. It was growing. But time is the enemy of all things. And it was only a matter of time before people started falling off the team again. 2 left to focus on new families. 1 left because he started to feel like things were hopeless. Another left because he was moving. And another left because he was moving even further. And the last guy, he didn't want to leave, but with just the 2 of us left, there wasn't a whole lot left to do. I tried really, really hard to keep the flame of that little company burning. It meant a lot to me. The people meant a lot to me. I'm so happy that I had all the experiences that I had with them. But after a little over 7 years, I had to shut it down. I couldn't bring in new people. They weren't the team. I wasn't the team. So if no one was coming back, there was nothing else to do but say goodbye. So over the next several years, I continued to just develop small projects on my own, mainly for fun. I hadn't given up the game development dream. I just didn't know what I was going to do with it, and I wanted to take time to sit back and plan. And I'm not going to lie, I was getting really bitter. It was really hard to reconcile having so much success at the student level and then not being able to recreate any of that professionally. And talking about professionally, I had started a career as a project manager. I was working as a scrum master. I was working as a product owner. I was overseeing new product development, overhauls of systems, and I couldn't make a video game. Every time I would see a post on Reddit that was like, oh, I just started game development 5 months ago and I just released my first game on Steam today, I would always give them the mental middle finger. I'd go on Steam and see that Furry MILF Hunter Explosion Part 5 is in the new and trending. I can't even get a platformer out, and these people are making Part 5 of that stuff. Failure. I felt like a complete and utter failure. But time is the destroyer of all things, and time is the healer of all things. After a while of really debating, I had a couple of amazing months in my life. I came into a little bit more money than what I expected. And so I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a brand that is my own. And it's going to be me, so then that way I don't have to feel weird about whoever I share it with. And I'm going to try this again. And at the time, the idea was to do exactly what I'm doing now, make the YouTube channel, show the ugly road of game development while offering up tutorials. I was just going to be doing it in Unity. And as I mentioned in the last one of these Talking Head videos, I jumped ship from that engine because of the runtime fee stuff. And that pretty much brings us to today. I am a 40-year-old part-time game developer who has shipped a bunch of product, just none of it his own video games. And I struggle trying to find success in this space that I love so much, despite having been in it for years. No doubt some people who are coming across this video are younger game developers who are terrified of turning into this. But I've got to be real with you. my story isn't that far out of the ordinary. Where I am does have a pretty robust independent game development community, but you wouldn't know it because so many people have been in the same boat as me. And I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of people out there who are in the same boat as me as well. And to those folks, I just want to tell you that you are seen. You are the ones that make this community great. You are the ones that are posting in the forums. You are the ones that are lifting up the YouTube videos. So I just want you to know you're not alone. If you're struggling to get something out and you've tried for years and that gives you feelings of inadequacy, you're not alone. In fact, you are very, very normal. So I will make you a promise. If you make me a promise, I will continue to push out tutorials, develop this channel, take this journey, as long as you pledge to take it with me. Let's fail together. Let's fail fast. And that way, we can get to our dreams together all the quicker. So that was my journey so far. And it's brought me here to you. A lot worse places I could be in. I'm going to leave you with that. And hopefully leave you feeling a little bit better about where you are at in your own game development journey. As always, the best to you and yours. Take care in the meantime. And I can't wait to see you again.